I didn't know this until I did the research. You're a year older. Mm-hmm. You were kissing an older woman for your first kiss.
11 and 12.
I know. Yeah. It was so hard to go back to 11-year-olds that
Hi, guys.
Hi.
That was a wonderful welcome. Thank you.
Okay, well, you know, I usually know people because I'm so old, but I don't. So this is actually a real treat for me. I'm wondering, to start off, before we're going to show some clips and do some things like that, when you got on the set, when you signed to do either the show as a series or as a guest spot, what in your 12-year-old or 13-year-old brains did you really think you were getting into? Anybody who wants to field that, what was it? What did you really think that was going to be?
I was excited to come to California.
Yeah, LA.
You know, I was growing up in Chicago. Like I had aunts and cousins that lived in California. You know, it wasn't like, you know, you say like signed on the show. Like I was like 11 when we did the pilot. I wasn't thinking about deals and contracts and getting picked up and, you know, getting a good time slot or any showbiz stuff. I was like, oh, LA, great. Chicago's cold. LA's warm. It's awesome.
And you guys?
Oh, I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and every time I thought I was going to stop, I would get something a little bit bigger than before. So I had done commercials, and then I did a TV thing, and then I did a Broadway show, and then I did a couple movies that never came out or I got cut out of, and I was like, all right, this is, you know, I'm done with this. And then I got this, my first pilot, and I was like, all right, we'll give it another go, and it should be exciting, and it'll be fun, and never in our wildest dreams did I think it would be, you know, this.
Yeah, I had no idea. And for me, the part of Winnie Cooper was only supposed to be a guest role on the pilot, so I really didn't know what was coming. All I was thinking, I was like, wow, I'm looking at the script, I'm going to get my first kiss. That was terrifying.
You know, I'm probably going to be the first person to ever ask you guys about that first kiss.
Oh, wow. Yeah, first person today.
Yeah, I actually might, no, it wouldn't even be the first person today. My question about that, really, is if we were playing, are you old enough to know even what the newlywed game was, that sort of a thing? Mm-hmm. If I were to give you a piece of paper and to have you each write down the number of times that you have been asked about that first kiss.
Sounds like a math game, actually.
Yeah, see? So
I'll be sitting there really trying to figure it out.
So if you will be honest and not bow to peer pressure, what would you say? How many times have you been asked about that?
About the kiss?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
But I mean, people are always coming up asking about the show and our experience on the show, and
if you asked about how many times people have come up to us to talk about why didn't Kevin and Winnie get together, that's thousands.
Yeah.
I would say.
Every day.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. I mean, honestly, but it blows my mind. Like this is, I have to say, it's incredible that you guys are here. This is so awesome to be here. And that you guys are here and walking up tonight and seeing you guys out there and lined up and excited, it just means the world. And, you know, people come up every day, more than once a day, and ask me about the show. And it's always with just such warmth and friendliness. And the fact that people are still connected to the show and still talk about it and think about it and share it with their kids or their friends or watch it with their parents, their families. You know, all you want to do when you are in this field is to be part of something that endures, that means something to someone. And the fact that we got to do that at such a young age, it just is so meaningful. I love it. I love that people talk to us about it. Yeah. It's great.
Well, it's a...
Yeah.
We're gonna start showing a clip now.
Okay.
And I've got two clips from the very first episode, which is capturing you guys when you're just starting off in this. And I want you to know, in addition to being a TV critic, I'm also a college professor full-time, and I teach television. I teach the Wonder Years.
Really?
Really?
And
Cool.
I love
In what
showing...
context?
Yeah,
Like,
what
what do you say? Tell us about it.
Oh, yes. All right. This is the only question you get to ask, but
Yes,
it's
okay.
looking at youth in television through the ages. So it starts with like Leave It to Beaver, then Dobie Gillis, then it jumps to you guys, which confuses them because that's the 60s, but it's done from the 80s looking
Right.
back, and Gidget, and then we're done. But you
But that's it. You
Stop
stop there.
the
No, we
That's
stopped with you guys. We stopped with you guys, and it so resonates with everybody. The people who have seen it so many times, I grew up watching this, I love this,
Yeah.
and others are like, this is, and I feel it is one of the best written pilots in TV history.
Yeah.
And one of the best performed, and you shouldn't have known how to act as well as you did when you guys were that age, all of you. So let's take a look. This will be first clip. This is the first day of junior high school in the pilot episode. Wait, so that we can clear. We all got this. That was déjà vu right there. This is a show about nostalgia that is so nostalgic to watch now that you hear it twice while you see it once. But however that last clip was played, I'm talking to the guys in the control room now, we heard double audio
At
on
least
like
double.
a 3-second delay.
Yeah.
At least double audio.
I think it was.
It could have been voices. It could have been a Ouija board. But so that we know that we have this cleared up, I think we should go straight to the second clip because it's from the same episode. But this is the question. It's all right? No, don't go to the second clip. All right.
Just kidding.
Okay, not going to go to the second clip, but the second clip is going to be the kiss. And I know you guys get asked about this so much, but it is iconic. It is so beautiful. And I'm mortified. I show it twice a year, and every time I think, what were you thinking? And then I start thinking, well, it's the second or third or 15th or 20th time I've seen it. I'm thinking, what direction were you given beforehand, if ever, and were you given the same sort of direction? So I will ask that. Sorry, I know you're not.
Listen,
you get to be
just
Spock
as
in just a few
interested
clips.
as-
Yes. Okay.
Spock.
Yes.
Josh was giving us the most notes of anyone.
Thank you, Fred.
They gave us blocking notes, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to remember what Steve told us. I don't know. I mean, they told me to, put the code on her at the end.
Did
And
I tell you to stroke my hair for the last take?
I don't think so. I think that just I just kind of went with it, Danica. I just kind of,
Because we-
you were there and I was there.
There were 6 takes. There was the one they used was actually the 6th take. And the way I know that is because there were 6 takes done total, and he started stroking my hair at the end of the very last one, and that's the one that they used.
And
It was really sweet. Yeah, it can be louder.
Aww.
Yeah.
All right, okay, I'm a professional, I can keep going. All right, I've gotten the thumbs up signal, but now I'll ask one follow-up on this. I didn't know this until I did the research. You're a year older.
Mm-hmm.
You were kissing an older woman for your
Yeah,
first
true.
kiss.
11 and 12.
I know. It was so hard to go back to 11-year-olds after that. She knew so much,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, once you have double digits.
I know,
yeah.
you know.
All right. This is the clip, and it is beautifully acted at this part with no dialogue whatsoever, except from, I can't imagine anybody's here who hasn't seen the series and isn't familiar, but narrated by the adult Kevin looking backwards. And you do not provide the voice of the adult Kevin.
I do
Yes.
not. That's Dan Stern.
But it all fits together so beautifully with the music. I think this couple of minutes says what the Wonder Years is all about, and hopefully we'll only hear the song once. Let's see. I don't know how many times you guys go back to this, but what is going through your mind when you're looking at it now?
Honestly, it's pretty good. It's good. It's good. I mean, those final narrations still get me. I mean, they're just
they're remarkable.
so beautiful. I mean, the narration and then the song, every episode. I mean, it's just, it's relentless, man. It's pretty special.
Danica?
And we never saw, we never saw the music until it was aired, or at least I didn't get to see so I never got to see it all together. So we got to see the finished product the same time that you guys did. So we probably got the same impact from that as you guys did the first time we watched it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I just, looking back, it's you know, that scene is something that I've talked about a lot and seen a lot, and it's part of my childhood. So it's just this strange perspective. I know my perspective is so different from anyone else's except for maybe Fred's. And it's something that I take for granted in a strange way. Like, some part of my brain is like, well, isn't everyone's first kiss like having it on a rock? And, and it's so hard for me to get any other perspective other than remembering. And yet, it was soundtrack, you know? I mean, watching it, having all the family over for the Super Bowl, and then the show comes on afterwards, and everyone watches your first kiss with the same, you know, bean dip and everything that they're watching the Super Bowl with. It's just this strange reality where it's so part of my life and my existence that I don't know how to separate myself from it.
And when you look at it, while we're all looking just at the scene, are you remembering the crewman on the other side?
Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm. So what do you remember that none of us can see from how it was filmed?
Well, that no one could see until the Wonders DVD set. The very first take, we have all the we have the outtakes, and the very first first take is part of the DVD extras. In fact, Fred and I did audio commentary watching the very first takes of the scene, and in the very first take, I smiled a little before we actually touched lips because I was so nervous and excited about it. And then after they said cut, I rolled my eyes. Like, it's the funniest thing ever. And my mom was given this set of outtakes by Steve Miner, the director of the pilot, and she saved them for 26 years. And then we're doing these DVD extras, and she goes, you know, I think I might still have those tapes. Do you think they'd care? Do you think? I'm like, yeah, I think there would be some interest in that. And so they cleared the rights to it, and
they only have them because of your mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
God bless mothers everywhere.
I know.
Amen.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those random things. She just saves everything, and I've made fun of her before for it, but this time she wins.
That's right. You mentioned the music.
Yeah.
And so as a seamless segue to clip number 3, this is the clip called Dance With Me, and I'm wondering how much of the music were you guys familiar with when you were playing a scene like this beforehand, or were you just hearing it like it was music brought in from some foreign country or other planet? Do you want to see the clip first and then react?
Sure.
Probably the
Okay.
foreign planet answer.
All right, this is it's one of the examples of why it took so long for this to get to DVD, because the music in it is so pivotal. Working backwards, Born to Be Wild, that's like you outdo Tom Cruise in Risky Business with that.
No, but to your question, I mean, we knew, these are pretty iconic, music cues. So I was definitely aware of the music and listening to that with my parents. Definitely oldies radio on the station, with my mom in the car. But so I knew a lot of that music.
I had always heard the music before. I don't think I really understood the role it played in the era, in the political side of things and the social movements that were taking place. So I don't think I actually made that connection, but I'd certainly heard it on the radio.
And when you two were just watching The Girl from Ipanema, were you as baffled as little kids as you looked, or was that acting?
I think I was baffled.
I was going to say, I'd like to take credit for that,
Watching
but I don't
Olivia
think I can.
move like that in front of us, that
Yeah.
was, and then seeing Dan and Allie dance. No, I think, the thing about it is so much of it was, we were, that was authentically us. That's kind of who we were. We were just 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, and, when they put something in front of you, you can't help but react in a kind of, authentic way. And, we had all acted, before, the Wonders. It wasn't our first jobs, but we were not showbiz kids, right. I think,
I was pretty new.
Yeah.
You guys had more experience than I had.
But
I did a couple commercials and a couple episodics, and that was it.
But it wasn't like trained responses. It was all pretty authentic,
I don't know, your eyebrows, though. You were so good with your eyebrows. I always considered that to be a special skill.
I used to walk in on him and go, wait, I'm doing little exercises.
Yeah. We'd have warm-ups and cool-downs.
Is it naive to ask if you guys actually relied on each other through the series because you were about the same age and going through the same thing at the same time? Did you? Or were you on different schedules, different dressing rooms, different temperaments?
We often shot scenes without each other there. Because of the schoolroom situation and we often did scenes to a piece of tape.
Oh.
Much to the chagrin of many of the directors.
Yeah, I know. But actually there's this one scene in an episode called The Accident where Winnie Cooper has gotten in a car accident. She's in bed with like cuts and bruises, and Kevin climbs up to her window. And anybody remember this scene? Yeah, and we have this really intimate, sweet moment where we say, I love you too. We were never there together, ever. It was a double back of his head and a piece of tape. But I will say that because we'd been working together for so many years and knew each other so
Way
well,
to bring it around, Danica. Way to bring it around.
We knew what the other would have been doing and feeling, and we were.
But that wasn't like by request, you know.
Right.
that we were on
Oh,
set.
right.
I will not work.
Yeah.
I will not work with Josh.
No, that was just the
again,
realities of like, negotiating, child labor laws and getting,
Yeah, because Fred was
school.
in every single scene. Every single scene, he had to get 3 hours of schoolwork done. So anytime he didn't have to be on a set, he had to be working and on score.
But we were together a lot. There was a school trailer that we all went to school,
Yeah.
together in. So we saw each other a lot. And to your point about did we rely on each other, we didn't like call each other and ask advice or, spill our hearts out. But I think we were there for each other, that we were just there every day, So, when we would have a break, we'd go play, catch with Josh, and out in the parking lot, or, we were there for each other, and it was kind of a pretty unique way to grow up, and we were all going through it together. And I think, at least for me, we were there for each other just in that we were there, and I think that brought me a lot of comfort.
Yeah, especially because I was a foreigner in LA.
You both were,
and we came together at the same time, and I didn't know anybody else there. So literally, my entire LA life was on set for a very long time. And Fred was in the same way when he moved from Chicago. So the two of us were very close, not only because we liked each other, but because we were the only people
We were
didn't
it.
know.
We were it. That was it.
And we did. We played baseball together. He was a catcher. I was a pitcher, and baseball cards. And yeah, I mean, I think so. From that perspective, I relied on the cast a whole lot in the very beginning, and then I started to make friends and do things out there. But I still remember scenes where I remember, Fred was doing this or Danica was doing that, and Fred was making me laugh, and Fred was making me laugh, and so we did. We relied on each other a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up with brothers, but these were kind of like my brothers, and they teased me relentlessly and taught me things like pull my finger and really gave me that brother experience that I had been lacking up until that point. So they were there for me too in their own way.
The next clip that I want to show may illustrate this exactly. It's the Birthday Boy episode, and it's your character's bar mitzvah. And, well, they're either clapping because they love the episode, because the character's Jewish, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's all fun.
Well,
Yes.
it was actually one of the first, I think that it was one of the first times that religion, and particularly Judaism, was addressed on national primetime television. And I get a lot of people across the country coming up to me saying, I saw you in my Hebrew school class.
Yeah, they showed.
I got lots of cheeks, pinching, say, I love you, can you teach my son? But I think that it was the first time that really a bar mitzvah was really shown as being an integral part of America. And I think that was, I didn't really zone in on that point until much later, that wow, this was kind of groundbreaking.
And the other things that are going on in this scene, I'm going to play TV critic for like 20 seconds. The other things that are going on in this scene, you get such clear depictions of the friendships between these two characters, so close that you figure it's got to be that way with the actors as well, and it shines through. And a bar mitzvah looks like so much fun. So, and then the other thing is that the music that they choose, as with so many scenes, just says, "Oh, you're having a nice time watching this. Isn't this a lovely little sitcom? I think I will take your heart out and watch it pulse and then stomp on it so that you never forget this." So this is the episode.
I love this.
Yes, here we go.
By the way, I
You
hear my
guys-
mom sobbing in the second row over there.
Yo, kiss
Oh,
me.
You guys go on without me for a minute.
But I haven't seen that.
I'm almost crying.
I
It's
haven't
not even
seen that.
My
in-
child, I'd
in
be crying.
forever.
I also think that I think that was Neil and Carol's last episode.
Yeah.
So I think that was their like, we're gonna do it even more than we usually did. That's a great scene.
So what are your reactions if you haven't seen it? I'm really fascinated by what you think of. I mean, this is. It was nostalgia then, and you were young, and now it's nostalgia for you too.
Well,
that's
yeah, I
so
mean,
meta.
The show, it does. The show works on a lot of levels
So
for me.
many
I'm not
levels.
gonna lie. It's but now, we've talked about this a lot, the three of us, in the past couple days. But the show now, when I watched it as a kid, and when I was shooting it, I liked, I saw it from a kid's perspective. It was fun, and it was a party, and that's a great. And my friends had bar mitzvahs, and it was like that in all the episodes. But now, as an adult, I can look back, not just to shooting that, but to those moments in my life. Like, we all look back at those moments in our life and connect to them.
With wonder.
And it just breaks my heart in a whole nother way. And
Yeah.
now, as a kid. As a kid, I was kind of living those experiences, but now I see the show and, you look at the kids smiling and laughing and friends like that only exist for a second, at that moment in your life, or, but I feel the heartbreak of Norma when she watches Kevin ride away on his two-wheeler for the first time, and I can relate to Jack's struggle of keeping his frustrations at work from spilling over at home, and it's a different show as an adult looking back, completely different for me.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to say anything before I?
Just to
No, that
piggyback
was-
on that, I mean,
yeah.
it's.
Yes, what he said.
We've talked about it a lot. We've
Yeah.
picked up from each other's cues over the last couple of days on this point in particular, and I'll be remiss. My daughter's in the front row here, so she's seeing.
Stand and say hi to everybody. Okay, there she is. There she is. She's not going to stand.
She's not going to stand.
It's okay.
No, but she's watching this for the first time. She hasn't seen a lot of these clips, so it'll be really fun for me to kind of go through the show with her and look at it from the parents' perspective, while I assume that she'll look at it from the kids' perspective, and it'll be interesting for me to share that perspective with her, what I was thinking, because it was a little bit different because I was actually in front of a camera going through it, but then to see how she may be going through those exact moments in her real life. And it's just the perfect, juxtaposition of that's what I was then. And Fred's completely correct. When you're there, you're not thinking like, I'm gonna act even more like a 13-year-old right now.
Right.
You just are.
time.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
just having
yeah,
a good time. And I had a good time. And now it's gonna be like, will you please just act like a 7-year-old? But when I see that particular scene gets me. I mean, I love that scene.
And what you were talking about how it only exists for a second, and the fact that it's freeze frame,
Yeah.
still shots, just does drive it home.
Well, because that's kind of how, we remember our childhood, just in these kind of moments, these little stolen, freeze frames. And they really just captured that. That's how we remember our
Yeah, and the writers and the directors were so good
Yeah.
at capturing that moment. And they did it, like you said, they did it every single time. And you're like, all right, we're getting to the end. Everybody hold on.
Yeah.
And they did it every time.
Now,
And we're so little. The thing that strikes me is that we're so little. We look more like our kids now than we do look like ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So I look at those freeze frames, and I was getting choked up, thinking I bet my son's name is
wait
Draco.
till- wait
Draco,
till-
he's 4 years old now, but I'm gonna get. I already have pictures of him freeze frame happy, and he's already older than that. And you want to hold on to your childhood, and you can't. And I think that's what was really at the basis of the Wonder Years, that you want to hold on to those moments, and they're just really memories that you
it is.
reflect on and cry over, I guess. I mean, but it's not to be morbid, but it's true, that bittersweet longing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it really is. I think that's what the Wonder Years was about, was like that time in your life. It really is a very specific period in your life where, you know, you're so wide-eyed and open to the world, and you're old enough to kind of have life experiences, but not old enough at all to appreciate them or understand that they're important or even hold on to them.
Right.
And by the time you realize that, oh, that was a seminal moment, that was an important thing, it's gone, you've lost it. And I think that was one of the great things about the Wonder Years, is they really, you know, they told specific, you know, character-specific stories, but they were all centered around some universal moment of adolescence, some undeniable truth of growing up that we've all experienced. And for a second, you know, for a half hour at a time, you could have that moment again. And I think that's what's kind of so heartbreaking, is you see so much of your own experience, you know, in that.
Well, if you guys can take a compliment before I move on to the next clip, it would have been insufferable in the hands of the wrong young actors. I really do think
Thank you.
it would have been.
Thank you.
And it's there. Before we move to the next clip, I just heard this backstage. I don't know if it's true or not. The sentimentalist in me hopes that it is, that you actually did go to your bar mitzvah.
I'm not sure if you did, but Danica and Crystal did.
Yeah, we did.
I had
Oh, that's even better.
You got a
That's
thing?
even
a
better.
thing. I had a thing.
I went to both of their bar mitzvahs.
You were.
I tried to move it and I couldn't.
You were doing a movie.
Yeah. But you guys were at mine.
Yeah.
Dan and Allie were at mine.
I remember because at each person's table, you had a trophy that said Fred on it.
Yeah, you win.
I was like, oh, this is my party favor.
You win just for being there.
I still remember that. I don't know.
Yeah, everyone's a winner.
I don't still have it, but I remember it.
I have some extras.
It's
Good. Good.
I've opened long dormant wounds. My job is done.
It was going so well, Dave.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, here's an example of not only what the show does so cleverly about TV history, but how good these guys had to be to pull it off. It's an episode called Math Class Squared, and in this one, it's going to end with a parody of a very well-known TV show, but these guys nail it. So, here we go.
I forgot about that.
Okay. I have questions for all of you, but we'll do it in order. How did you prep for that?
I watched a lot of Rod Serling. I remember the directors handed me a ton of tapes and said, go watch these. And I did. And not only did I watch the opening, but I watched all of them. So it was really my first introduction to the Twilight Zone, the TV show. And I remember practicing that a lot.
You nailed it.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks. That was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of those types of characters. Anytime there was dress up time, Paul got to dress up.
And Danica, my question for you in this is, but isn't it ridiculous to have math in a sitcom and have anybody
You know, making fun of math. I know. Hello.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty common, unfortunately. But actually, there were 2 math episodes, right?
3.
3. Okay, because the one with Mr. Collins. I mean, that's
All 3, yeah.
Yeah, the one where he dies is one of my favorite
By the way,
episodes.
he was one of the most talented actors
He's the
ever.
best.
Yeah.
His 3-story
Stevie
arc
Wonder.
is
Incredible
one of my
actor.
favorite of the whole show.
Yeah.
Most of that was because of you in that very last scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are good.
That was amazing.
Those are good ones.
And my question to set us up into the next question, you had to study for the Twilight Zone. Did you guys have to study for Star Trek?
You know, it's funny.
We watched that clip.
Yeah, we did. But people ask me a lot. Oh, you know, did you prep for the show, or to learn about the time? And honestly, the only time I remember ever prepping for something, you know, doing like research or watching something was that Star Trek thing.
William Shatner.
Yeah, the physicality and everything. But you know, so much of the show, you know. We didn't really. I didn't really study for the show. It wasn't about. Again, at that time in your life when you're living, when you're growing up, you're not thinking this is a really important time. You know, all you care about is just kind of your world ends at the end of your nose. You know, I mean that's your whole experience. And there's a moment in the show early on where the family's watching the moon landing in the living room, and Kevin's in the kitchen wondering whether or not he's going to call a girl. And that's what that's how resonant history was to a 12-year-old. I mean, that's really the truth. But that thing that you mentioned, the Star Trek, was kind of the one time I really did prepare. Maybe I should have worked harder. I don't know. Now that I'm saying that.
But
No,
they
no,
were
no.
Sounds
going
really
for that
lazy.
organic. They wanted that organic.
Yeah.
Kind of
But what okay,
feel like I'm
all
justifying
three
why I
of
didn't
you,
research
all
it.
three of you are fantastic in that clip, and I wish I have. Oh, I do have it to show. But first, I don't know whether you decided that William Shatner was a really good actor or a really bad actor before you acted him the way you did. If you were parodying him or just being him.
I think I was just trying to imitate it as closely as I could. I really was trying to. I was really trying to do it. And by the way, I haven't seen this in, I mean, forever. So I don't know
I
how
can't
this
wait.
is going to come
I want
out.
everybody's reaction.
But I think
Okay.
I remember really trying to do it.
You nailed
Just
it.
like I, you know what? Now that we're talking, there was one other time I did research where we did a school play where I played Robert Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I watched some tapes and listened to try and get that accent.
I was J. Edgar Hoover.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
And were
Yeah.
you method for J. Edgar?
No, I don't think I did much research on that one.
Okay. But Spock, what you did Spock?
I did. Like I said, I dressed up a lot.
You'd-
Yeah, no, that was. I think we may have even looked at that together. And there was a lot of makeup that day. There was a lot of the prosthetic ears, and it was hot that day, if I remember. But no, it was fun. I mean, you get to be when you're acting, you get to be somebody else, and then when you're acting as somebody else, you get to be somebody else pretending to be somebody else. So it's like I can do whatever I want. You know?
And what do you remember about that scene, that sequence?
the feeling of power when I press that button and they go writhing.
You got to wear that awesome outfit.
And that was pretty
Yeah, I remember the
awesome
girls
outfit.
look great. I remember the
Yeah,
girls
we had like
look
a
great
trio.
cast.
My
Yeah.
sister is the blonde, well, one of the blondes, and then my sister Crystal, and then Krista was, she played her girlfriend, yeah.
So we're going to see more than one McKellar in this scene. We are going
My
to
sister
see,
is wearing blue, I think. I might be wrong.
You can tell us at the end of the clip
I
and,
will.
and
I
say
I think they know who Becky
But-
Slater is.
But this works it also advances the story where poor Kevin is confused about women and so locks into a show that was on TV at the time where Kirk shows up on a planet where women have these controllers that can send men into instant agony.
And Crystal, my sister Becky Slater, she punches you out, and then you go into this.
Oh,
In
is that?
sequence,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so here we go. This is the clip. It's called Just Between, and I'm glad you haven't seen it in a while because I want to
man.
I want to hear your reaction. I think you all have reason, each individually and then certainly collectively, to be proud of that clip. Who wants to say what?
I don't think we have to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You really don't have to.
It would only. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But it's brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask two more questions. I'm going to hold the last two clips until after we're near the end of your Q&A because the last two clips are from the very last part of the show, so that seems fitting. But I will say that for the ones that are not in the first season, which you can buy tonight out in the lobby, I would be remiss if I did not say, yes, thank you, Vanna, that if you just go on the internet and search Wonder Years and Complete Set, they have a ridiculously complete set that comes in a small school locker, almost big enough to stuff a third grader in, with the complete series.
And more
So-
than just, it's got all these, I mean,
It's incredible.
like
Yeah,
notebooks
it's-
and there's a yearbook and with all sorts of liner notes and stories and behind the scenes pictures.
It's amazing, honestly. It blows the three of us away. Everyone, all the members of the cast, when we were told about it and when we finally saw it, it was beyond anything we could even comprehend.
They got old wardrobe pictures.
Did an
I mean,
extremely
continuity pictures.
comprehensive job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful set, it's a beautiful show, and the last two questions that I have, one was provided by the bartender where I was across the street tonight, saying what I was going to be doing, and he said, oh, I loved the Wonder Years, watched it growing up, great show, but at the end, and I want to quote this exactly, he didn't end up with Winnie. What's that about?
Yeah.
Well, you can't. I mean, you know, your first love when you're a kid is so idealized, because it just existed for that moment, that time in your life. You know, I think that you never end up with your first love. I mean, I guess there's rare exceptions, but I think that that's feels much more authentic to kind of everyone, life experiences, that you kind of have this first love you pine for and who just makes your day and makes your heart sing and then rips it out of your chest. And I think, you look back as an adult to that time and it's just so perfect and idealized. And Danica is the embodiment of like the most ideal, girl you could meet, you could know. And I think that it's true, but
Where's the aw?
Yeah. But like if Kevin and Winnie ended up together and they were like arguing over like, oh, who's gonna drive carpool, and I gotta take my kid to karate, and why didn't you forgot the soap, and why you were supposed to get cereal and we're out of milk, and maybe I gave too much of a window into my own marriage. I'm a very lucky man.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you'd look back with that same, you wouldn't have that same kind of patina, from when you were a kid.
Plus, the show was about bittersweet memories and nostalgia, and so that it's more fitting somehow that, that it just didn't quite happen. And
yeah, things don't always, your life doesn't turn out the way you thought it would when you were 12.
Right.
And I think that's one of the lessons of the show, is that like you have this idea of who you are and who you're gonna be and what you're gonna make of yourself, and then you just live and you end up somewhere totally different. But you wouldn't have gotten there had you not gone through this other road. So I think that, to me, that felt very real. It would have been really, I don't know, false, I think, if it just ended up
You would
perfect.
have cheapened it, I think. The whole concept is you didn't want to, the show had a couple of loose ends, and I think it was intentionally that way, or at least if it wasn't intentionally, I think it's better that it was. If it was, everything was neatly, tidy up and put into a package, it satisfies everybody's emotional and intellectual needs to put things in a box. And then if people put things in a box, they get to pack it away and they get to forget about it. Now they don't, and it's part of the ongoing.
They keep thinking about the Wonder Years over and over.
They had to wait for the
That's
DVD
why
to come
the
out.
DVD
Yeah.
coming out. It's been successful because people are like, yeah, I'm not satisfied yet. I have to see more.
It's one of the reasons why I think none of us were really all that excited about doing a quote unquote reunion show about making
Right.
everything complete and pretty and
Yeah.
oh yay, we'll march ourselves back out and do this again. It was such a good thing. Why ruin it? Let's leave it there. Let's leave it untouched and beautiful and where it was. I just think it has so much more of a deeper, meaningful impact that way.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and I'm afraid now to ask another question to ruin that good ending with all the way across. I'm going to throw it open now to questions. So I'll save myself one last question at the end with the clips. But for now, you guys, and I don't know exactly how this works. I think lights come up, microphones go out, Phil Donahue's appear from nowhere, and I don't even think I have to point. That you just do stuff, and then if three people ask at a time, it'll be like the clip. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
go for it.
Go for it.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming. I guess I want to start off with like a short story, very short. Danica, you were signing books at a Barnes & Noble one time.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the paper that day, and I was like, oh, my childhood crush. This is amazing. Right? And so I go, and there are so many concerned moms that are genuinely interested in their daughter's curriculum and the book that you were signing or whatever, and I'm standing around a little self-conscious going, I don't really fit in, but I also was there with like a few older kind of creepy guys, and so more than a few, and so when I approached the table, like I bought the book, but I was self-conscious about saying, can you address it to me, right? So I told you to make it out to my name, but I was like, I told you it was my niece, right? And so now I have this book that says, Tulane, math is sexy, you go, girl. and so it's this family story, but I guess this gets into my question. How, everyone in this room is nostalgic about the show. It's fantastic. We wouldn't be here if it weren't. But what's the line that you guys ride between being nostalgic about the show and loving the work that you've done, and then trying to not, I guess, have it stigmatize the career? Like, how did all three of you like break off of that Wonder Years identity?
Yeah, the show was a wonderful experience for us, and we've all gained so much from it. And to your point about all the concerned moms, many of those concerned moms found out about the book to begin with because of press that I got about the books because of the Wonder Years. A lot of parents still buy the books for their kids because they know me from the Wonder Years, and that's helping that many more kids. So I've embraced it, and it's helped me in many, many ways. In ways that I wouldn't have even imagined at that time.
Okay, next question. Whoever's.
Oh, I think we have a question right up here.
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
What did it feel like acting when you were a kid, and why?
And why? She wants to know.
Yeah, I know.
Because she's interested
Yeah, I know.
in acting.
Because it looks like fun.
So that's my daughter. And people always ask me would I ever let her act. And now that you've asked me that question, sweetheart, in front of all of these people.
Good move.
I'm just going to answer the question. For me, acting was performing and was trying to connect with other people, and it was an opportunity for me to completely let go and give myself to whatever it is that I was doing, completely 100% without any reservation whatsoever. And the fact that there was another character that I could kind of hide in or be part of really was liberating. And I loved that. And the thing that I fed off of was the reaction that I would get from other people. And you hear comedians and performers say they feed off the energy of the crowd and of the audience, and it's completely true in my case. Whenever you get a smile or a laugh or a stare or something, it just makes you want to do more and more. And so to me, and I see that in you, that wonderful feeling of entertaining someone, of making them stop and enjoy a moment that was because of me is priceless.
Great answer.
I thought that Simon and Garfunkel was going to be the only time I had to fight back tears. Saying that to your daughter is beautiful.
Yeah. I
Crap.
meant it too.
All right, next question. Make me cry some more.
So my question's also for Paul or Josh. Do you wear contacts now, and how does it make you feel when you see tons of hipsters walking around with your glasses on?
Yes, I do wear contacts. I wore contacts then. There was a little experiment early on in the show when I was actually wearing glasses, and because of the reflection, they had to be flat front and then curved on the inside, which anyone wearing glasses completely messes up your vision. So we just went with straight glass, and then I wore contacts. That's the factual, boring answer of your question. The more hipster related question is, yeah, I mean, I wish I kept a pair. I did, and I fought it for a really long time, getting anything other than wire rim glasses, and I finally broke down and got darker colored-ish glasses, but I don't wear them out of the house, Yeah, it just proves, I was saying earlier today, the bell bottoms and the flower shirt, I could wear that today, and I wouldn't look out of place. It's funny how things just completely turn around, and I was really against wearing those glasses, and I even at some point I got rid of them, right? I mean, the writers finally said, we'll give you contacts. Like, yes.
Josh was also so much cooler than his character. I think of any of us, Josh was the most different from his character than any of us. I mean, he was, a varsity athlete. He was like a jock. He was cool. I mean, it was very different. And I think as the Wonder Years kind of progressed, as the show progressed, they started to write more towards who Josh was. Right. And as kind of Paul came into his own, it wasn't that Josh was coming into his own at the same time. It's they were kind of bringing Paul closer to who Josh was.
Well, it hurt. It didn't help that I grew 6 inches over one summer, and I came back one day, and the wardrobe lady went, "Oh my God!" And it's like we could just throw out everything. We got to go get into something new. But yeah, I remember Bob at one point coming up to me. Bob Brush was the executive producer at the time, and saying, "I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with you." So yeah, and then cooler things happened. You know, I lost my virginity and made the basketball team and.
On the show, the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about the show?
All right, next question. I don't know where the mics are, but whoever has one can start speaking. Okay, go.
Hello, guys. I've been a big fan since I've been 3 years old of 1988. My birthday's in 8 days. My mother and father, their anniversary is tonight, and I'm doing this for my mother. Like you were saying about the first girl as the dream, I was 7 years old. My cousin, her friend, was 13. When I was at her bar mitzvah, the song of Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes was on, and that's when I was always talking to her, writing to her, and I've always been wanting to meet her again, the friend of my cousin's. And as of to this day, when I watch the show on the Hub Network, if I'm up that late, I always think of you guys.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's very nice, and I'm sure.
Thank you very much.
And happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, and the Hub Network gets a free plug you didn't expect. That's pretty good, too.
But you should still buy the DVDs.
And you can still buy the DVDs, yes, with unedited, no commercials, clarified.
You don't have to stay up late.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay up late.
Watch when
Anytime you want. What's convenient for you guys.
Yes. All right. Yes.
Hi, I'd like to address Fred. Of all the guest females who came on, who was your favorite, and why?
You know, we had some great guest stars, especially the girls. You know, Alicia Silverstone and Carla Gugino and Paula Marshall, and we had some pretty incredible female co-stars that came through. But I was always like terrified of them. You know, I really related to the guy guest stars. Those were the people who I thought were like so cool. And you know, all the people that played Karen's boyfriends. You know, David Schwimmer did it, and John Corbett, and these guys who, when I was like, you know, 12 and 13 years old, I'm like, these are the coolest guys in the world. Like, I thought they were awesome, and I was always trying to like get their attention and talk to them, and so I was always really enamored with the like kind of the older cool guys. I didn't have an older brother, and so I kind of always tried to show off for them.
I like the girls.
Yeah, Josh liked the girls. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Can I ask another question?
Cooler.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Okay.
No rules.
In
Security?
Gym class,
Yeah. Let's do it.
in gym class, when the teacher had the sex talk, what were you guys thinking of?
I mean, every time Bob Picardo opened his mouth, I laughed. There are so many scenes. If you look at the scenes, you'll see the best take the director could use is me only stifling a laugh. I mean, he was the funniest human being I had ever come across at the time. I mean, I mean, that's it. He was the meter stick of funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he always had us cracking up.
Okay, next question.
So much of the show, and even in the clips, are Dan Stern, like you said, Dan Stern's narration. And yet I've never seen him on any of the reunion panels. And I was just wondering, did you guys ever interact with him? Did you ever meet with him? Can you tell us about him? People in my generation know him as like the silly guy from Home Alone. Mm-hmm. And yet he's this incredibly serious, dramatic actor. And I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about him.
Well, Dan directed,
he directed
quite a few episodes, and some of my favorite ones. I think he directed Pottery Will Get You Nowhere, where you know mom and dad have a big fight, and I mean he directed quite a few. So we would see him a lot. I mean, he would record his narration after we were done shooting at a recording studio, so we didn't see that. But he was around all the time, and he's a great guy. I've never seen him outside of sweatpants.
He's goofy.
Only wears sweatpants.
Yeah.
I think I only saw him.
Only wears sweatpants.
And flip-flops.
Yeah, and flip-flops and a shirt with a hole in it. Still. he's a sculptor. You know, he has a studio in LA. I visited his studio, and he's great.
And if I can slip in a fast follow-up there, you both have done voiceover work, and you're now old enough to provide the adult voice of Kevin chronologically in the series. Did you ever think of just doing a test track and?
No, I mean that's.
Oh, I know it's absolutely classic, but I mean just.
I have my own versions at home.
Yes.
just
just me. Yeah.
Yes.
But what do you mean? Like, did I want to?
I mean, just to hear what it sounded like to have your actual voice. I think he was fantastic, and I'm not trying to lobby him out of residuals. That's not what I'm doing.
No, but honestly, I mean, you're right. You know, I mean, you know, he didn't grow up to sound like Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine another voice. Like when I see the like when we were showing these clips, that's his voice. You know, like I don't see it as that's not my voice. I mean, that's his voice. I mean, it's just so married to it.
It was a perfect marriage.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
next question. Yes.
I think one of the most poignant parts of the show was the parents and like the pottery episode, Thanksgiving, and especially at a time where it was a lot of Danny Tanners and like sort of like the nice dads. But then you had this very stern dad who wasn't very emotional, and I'm wondering, in terms of your relationship with like Dan and Allie and like acting with them, what that was like, and were you sort of like learning from was like a family unit sort of on set too, or what was that?
Definitely, definitely.
Dan was like a second dad to all of us.
Totally.
He was always teaching us about theater and if you really want to act, I'll do theater. Okay, so we all ended up doing. You'd already done some theater. We're like, okay, Dan.
I watched some.
It was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all kind of fell into our roles, you know, when we were on set together. And Dan and Allie. I mean, Dan was, you know, the kind of gruff curmudgeon, but really sweet, you know. And Allie was such a nurturer and would always make sure that. I mean, everyone made sure that we were comfortable on set all the time. But Allie would like. You know, as we were getting tired and the end of the day was you know, drawing near, and you know, we were there a long time. These days were long for little kids, and she would always try and like get us up and keep us laughing and having us enjoy ourselves, and they really fell into those roles.
Well, I mean, and we've said this a lot, but you know, neither Dan nor Allie have kids. And
it's amazing. They're the quintessential parents.
Right, the quintessential parents, but they don't have kids. So you know, they adopted us just as much as we adopted them. But I think that looking back at some of the episodes that were Allie and Dan centric, particularly the pottery one's a good example. It's a reminder that there were, I mean, we were all actors also, but they were actors.
Yeah.
Right?
They were really like
they were actors. They had done this a long time, and we were kids, and we were, you know, we were good at times and not so good at other times. They were just good actors.
They were great.
And they were professionals, and they had done this a very long time. And when you see that on screen, you remember like, oh, yeah, people do this for a living.
Yeah.
You know.
And they taught us a lot about that. I mean, it taught me a lot about. You make a good point. Professionals, like about knowing how to hit your mark and coming to set prepared, knowing your lines, and you know that's Dan. That's Dan and Allie.
I can only imagine I'm sure he made you watch all the old movies. Like,
Yeah. He made us all watch old movies.
It forces you to, like, as a director, don't cut.
Yeah.
Don't you cut. Just
But
one long take. Watch this. It takes like 5 years to take all the way across the track.
That's Dan.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for a couple of more questions, and then we'll finish off with the last clips from the final episode.
Hi, Adam.
Hi. So you guys were all famous childhood actors, and I wanted to hear a little bit more about what life was like off the set when you realized you were famous, when someone came up to you and approached you, and you had that moment like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to me. I'm 12 years old, 11 years old. People like me. People want to be with me. How was that for you guys? What was that moment for each of you?
I remember getting my first fan mail. My first piece of fan mail was a postcard. And it's just somebody, you know, saying how much they love the show. And it was so weird to me that somebody I didn't know sent me mail. So when you're that age, you love getting mail. So I got mail, and then we got more mail, and more mail. I'm like, what? It was crazy. We started a fan club, and I mean, it was very exciting. I thought it was fun, but I never engaged in all like the Hollywood party scene. I mean, none of us did, which is why I think we all ended up turning out okay. But like I studied all the time. I was a big nerd, and that's how I spent my time. But yeah, the fan mail thing was kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, my life off the set was pretty tame. You know, I mean, I would go home and I had friends, you know, who were not in show business, and really the only show business in my life was going to work and doing the show. I mean, after that, it wasn't hanging out with other celebrities. You know, it wasn't. It was just a very normal life. I hung out with my friends. I was a normal kid at home. There wasn't a lot of.
I had chores.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of star treatment. I got an allowance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was very, very normal, except that we would go to work in the morning, and my friends would go to school.
It was the first time that you kind of got the sense that, well, at the time, I remember saying, why would anybody take the time to write a letter and send it to me? Like, that made absolutely no sense to me. You go watch the show and enjoy the show. Great, but why? Who does this? And you know, but then, you know, it's an indication that you're doing something, as we all say we want to do, is to touch someone. We've actually moved someone enough to stop, gather a piece of paper and a pen, collect your thoughts, write it down, look up your address, and send it to you. Like, that's pretty cool.
I also just thought everyone was like really nice all the time. People. We're very lucky that people really have very positive associations with the show and with our characters. And so you'd go and everyone's like, "Hey, Fred." I'm like, "Yeah, hi. I love this yogurt store. Everyone's so friendly." And by the way, it's still that way. It's still that way. I mean. It's just everyone's always been just so warm and friendly. I just think everyone's super nice.
Right, they grew up with us, and so they have all these happy feelings, like we're a family that they love and feel affectionate towards, and it's a wonderful feeling. It's like having a bunch of friends you never knew you had.
Yeah.
And yogurt stores and other.
Yeah.
All right, one last question, and then we'll finish up with the clips.
Oh, she's so excited.
Oh,
I mean, I
okay,
see her looking for a microphone.
All right,
Wait, how about
two more. We'll do two. We'll do two.
Two questions, and that's all.
Two
questions, that's all. You go first, then you finish up. Okay.
Hi. I'm wondering, you guys were all kids when you were on the Wonder Years, and you guys have also gotten parts at your age now. So I'm wondering how your experience as actors was different when you were kids and when you guys got older.
I remember my first job where I didn't have to go to the schoolroom in between scenes. I was like, this is so easy.
Yeah, totally.
All this time off.
It's so easy.
Like a trailer, and you're like, so I guess I'll just relax now.
Yeah.
It was the craziest feeling ever. It's so much easier as an adult. That's all I'm gonna
great.
say.
I haven't done anything.
Oh, wait.
That's not true. You just did the.
Oh, I did. I did.
just
Wait,
did
no, I did. I
SVU.
did an episode of SVU. I forgot.
It was so memorable.
He was just being modest. He loved the experience.
You actually forgot,
and
didn't you?
wants to
You
go.
did forget.
I forgot. Yeah.
Yes.
So he just played. Yeah, he played a lawyer. So how was
I played a lawyer on TV.
Yeah. He's not just a lawyer in real life. He plays one on TV.
I actually said that, and I stepped on it, and they didn't get it.
You're among friends here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Last question. You waited.
So our dog's name is Winnie Cooper, number 1.
Thank you.
Someone just told us to name their daughter Winnie, so you really have a tough head.
Oh, you did that balance, yeah.
If I had a daughter. So my question is about the flashback scenes. They were always so perfect. Like the parents looked like they actually had de-aged like by 10, 20 years, and you guys, the little kids that played you guys,
Yeah, they got great kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
How did they film those? How did that?
Well, they filmed them. I mean, they would just kind of. I think they used a different film stock, when we were shooting. But there was a guy, Phil Hollahan, was our camera operator, and he would do the whole movies.
Yeah.
Remember we would always like wave the Uncle Phil, but the kids, they. At least I know for the young Kevin, his name was Jake Lloyd, and they cast him early on, like the first season, and they kept him the whole time. And I don't know about the Winnie the Paul, if you guys know, but I know they kept that kid, and the kids were great. They were really good.
The only thing I'll remember is a little bit. It's the opposite of that. There was one episode. It was a basketball episode, I think, where it was a fast forward in time, where it was an adult Kevin and an adult Paul playing basketball, and there was a point in time when they were going to have our
episode.
and the poker episode. Yeah, that was a fun episode to play. That was a fun episode.
You stand corrected.
Yeah, But we were gonna play because Lou, Fred's dad is tall and thin, and my dad's shorter and less thin. And not to say that anything, but we were gonna have them like play reverse, like Lou would play me as older and my dad would play Fred as older. Not to say that you're not thin, it's just.
I'm working on it. It's a process.
Should we go to the last clip? I gotta.
Yeah. But I will say there was one episode called Hiroshima Mon Frere where
Weezer.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Wayne and Kevin were fighting a lot, and they had a flash forward, as you were mentioning, to us as old men, and we were played by our grandfathers. My grandfather played me, and Jason's grandfather played him.
How big of a butthead was Wayne in real life?
Jason's great.
Jason's the best.
Awesome.
Jason's the best.
It's hard to describe in just a few sentences.
Yeah, not far.
Yeah, right.
Sweet guy.
He wasn't too far. He's not too far from that character. In fact, he still to this day loves doing that role. Like he still plays that role with us.
He relished doing that.
But he does it in a funny and fun way.
But he's like the cool Hollywood version of Wayne, because he like always had the girls in the cars and like he's just like
All right, and now to finish it up, we're going to see 2 fast clips from the very last episode and then get some final thoughts from these guys. This is from the finale, which is only available in the big box set. And if you're saying, wait, I haven't seen it, spoiler alert, I'm sorry. It's 21 years ago. It's such a good show. Get it higher up on your to-do list. We're going to watch it now.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want it to end.
If we can stop it there, and so I can ask one question. I'm sure you get asked all the time about your first kiss and not so much about that last one, and you're reacting to it. What are you thinking?
Well, it's funny because I haven't watched that since it aired, I think.
Yeah,
And I get asked all the time, do you think that Kevin and Winnie actually made love for the first time that night? And I always say, I think they probably did. And I'm looking at us, we're so little. I'm like, no, they didn't. They did not. It was not their first time. They were in a barn with a blanket and they were cozy up. That was it. They didn't do anything, okay? That's what I'm thinking right now.
That's pretty honest. And you?
That was just a lot of kissing. There was a lot of kissing. a lot of going on. Yeah.
My instinct is to have her close her ears.
I guess we should move on to the final clip, which has less kissing, but it wraps up the entire series, and I hope this program and then final thoughts, and we thank them. Here is the last clip also. This is the last scene from the Wonder Years.
Karen's son was born that September. I gotta say, I think he looks like me. Poor kid. Mom, she did well. Businesswoman, board chairman, grandmother, cooker of mashed potatoes. The Wayner stayed on in furniture. Wood seemed to suit him. In fact, he took over the factory 2 years later, when Dad passed away. Winnie left the next summer to study art history in Paris. Still, we never forgot our promise. We wrote to each other once a week for the next 8 years. I was there to meet her when she came home, with my wife and my first son. 8 months old.
This is the point where rather than steer the questioning, I just want to give you a chance at the end of this and at the end of that to say anything that you want to about the experience of the show and it coming out again so people can enjoy it and these final memories.
I'm just grateful for the experience. I mean, wow, what an amazing way to grow up. What an amazing show to be a part of. Amazing writers and directors and producers, and it's just such a gift. And it's such a gift that people still care and they're still watching it and they still want to remember all these moments that were our childhood.
Yeah, it's been a surreal evening, I will tell you, because it is. I'm with Danica. It just feels. I feel very lucky to have been a part of this, and it's really good. It's really great, and I don't say that being boastful. I mean, I feel lucky to be a part of it, and it was a very special experience, and something that will define me forever, and I'm really proud of the association, and it means a lot to me that people are still talking about it and interested, and it does. It means the world to me that you guys are here. It's really special to feel that call and response, and to put something out there and to feel it come back in this way. It's overwhelming.
For me, having been away from the industry for so long, and really, distance myself from it, and move on to other things and I have a whole another life, a whole another career, a whole another life. And to come back to this and to see it, it's a reminder for me about how much fun I had, but it's also a reminder that I'm part of something that is as indelible a mark on society as it seems to really be. And that gets affirmed to me every time someone says to me that they love the show, but more importantly that they're introducing it to their kids. And when that gets passed on to the next generation, it'll get passed on with a little bit of folklore and a little bit more, reminiscence, and that generation sort of bestowing upon them with a little bit of a spin on how much they loved it. But it will continue to go down as being this part of Americana, and that is as special as it sounds. And I'm learning how special that is with each one of these types of events that I do. And so for me, being away from it and then coming back to it, it's really cool.
Well, we've seen a lot of great television. We've heard a lot of great things. I think we've seen maybe a young actress in her very first performance. I'd like to thank everybody backstage who did such a great job with the clips. Everybody. Everybody at the Y who organized this and especially invited me to moderate this, all of you for coming out, but the real evening is these three, the heart and soul of that show. They just deserve the applause. Thank you so much. There you go.